There is a lot of competition in the EV space, but Tesla's got some tailwinds this year that are going to really help put them leaps and bounds above the competition. Well, many of the competition at least. And we're going to talk about that with Randy Kirk because he studies this stuff like crazy. And from a slightly different angle than I do, he covers more of the financial aspect while I cover production, factories, technology. He covers how much money you're going to make. We're going to discuss that and so much more. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. I should mention, Randy, that we're also going to be talking about the financials of the ZEV credits because that is probably what wound up being the title and or thumbnail. The first tailwind we are going to discuss is the Cybertruck. Yes, look at that. I asked Grok many times to make me something really good, and it didn't. It just didn't.
That's what you got.
I started by saying, make a picture of a million Cybertrucks climbing on top of each other like a hill of ants, and it said, I don't know what a Cybertruck is. This is as close as it got. That's not great. And I said that again, but with Tesla Cybertrucks, and it got closer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Some interesting variations in there. These look like counterfeit ones that were purchased on Temu that are now slated for destruction at customs.
That's right. Yes.
Cybertruck, what's the upside that you expect to see in 2025?
Well, I absolutely expect it to continue to sell extremely well. And as they come out with a $70,000 and then a $60,000 version, and that more and more people like me will,
I don't think many people like you.
Oh, that's true. That's a separate problem. Can we do that on the show?
Right.
So as the 60,000 version comes out, then, it's going to encourage more and more people. And of course, if that 60,000 version still includes the $7,500 discount, that's even better. But I think even if it's 60,000 without the discount, there's going to be a massive market for it. And so they'll sell out of any version, as many as they can possibly make. And hopefully that might be a run rate by the end of the year of 250,000 a year. And that will also include getting more and more money, what do you want to call it, more and more cost of goods out of it. So the profit will go up per unit as they make it less and less expensive to manufacture and the ramp costs go out. So those would be some of the headwinds.
Tailwinds.
Oh, those are tailwinds.
Yeah. So I'm with you on all points. I would add to that we've seen a IRS filing that the rear-wheel drive version, the single motor version, could be released this year. And my question is, well, how could we do that? How does that make sense? And to me, the answer is, if that Panasonic 4680 factory we talked about on your show is operational and ramping, those batteries would be better suited to a single motor variant because it is not a tabless cell, which allows for very fast charge and discharge. It would be a 3-tab design, which is still, I'm sure, very good and robust, but would not allow for the same charge and discharge rate. Therefore, the Panasonic cells would be better suited to that use, and maybe that's what they'll do. Okay. Next tailwind is, of course, Juniper. I gave up trying to get Grok to show me a Juniper. I just went with the tree. I figured that because it just wouldn't do it. Nothing I asked. Those aren't Juniper. I said, come on. That, but with the refresh model, I said, show me a million Y Junipers. And it was like, I just can't. I won't do it. So, Juniper, talk to me. Is that a tailwind? Are they going to sell more Model Ys in 2025 than they did in 2024?
Now, isn't that fun? Because I just asked you that question on my show. I wonder which one of our shows will be first and second. Anyway, I think it will sell more. It is already the number one selling car in multiple markets. But here's the key. Here's the key to why I think it's going to sell more. And that is called the Great Midwest of the United States. Okay. So we're still not selling squat. Tesla as a company sells almost nothing except in California, Washington, Oregon, New York, Florida, a little bit, maybe okay in Texas, but the rest of the country, I mean, it's horrible. It's just disgusting how few of Teslas at all are sold. And the Model Y Juniper should be the solution to that. If there is a solution, if we're going to be able to get those Republicans to finally start buying a few cars from Tesla. So I see
Yeah.
that as the big opportunity. It could be a massive opportunity.
What I've found is that if you can get good ribs on any block, you're in a state that doesn't sell many Teslas. So
That's,
uh,
that's,
that's the
that's,
correlation I have found.
yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's accurate. You guys can help me understand. I would say that the second part of that question I wanted to ask you, because again, you track the financials more closely than I do. Not only are they going to sell more Model Ys, but what's going to happen to the margin?
Oh, the margin should dramatically increase because as demand goes up, you don't have to give the discounts. It appears that at least in China, they're going to charge just a little bit more. And yet our understanding is the cost of goods is less. So you have lower cost, higher sale, and no discounts. All of that should add up to a pretty sweet deal.
What they've done with that increased price, by the way, and I think this is the very fair way to do it, is they've just bundled in some things that you might not have purchased. So you can't get the 19-inch wheels. You get the 20-inch wheels and free choice of paint color. So at the launch edition, you are going to pay, I think, $1,000 or $2,000 more, but you're going to get $1,000 or $2,000 more in stuff. So you're not actually overpaying. You're just getting a nicer trim. I think all of that's fair. I think you're absolutely right. The cost of goods sold will decrease, and they will move like hotcakes, which means we have another one. This one, I couldn't believe it. Grok got it on the first try. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Not too bad. So Semi, are we going to see meaningful volume this year?
Well, this is a subject where I've been actually asking you to lead me because, it looks like the building is really coming together. I've been watching, the fella, I never remember his name.
Zangler.
Zangler. I've been watching Zangler. I think he had a report out. Actually, this is a Monday morning. I think I saw something from him already this morning, showing that the spot where they're going to have the
Stamping
machines and whatnot is coming together. It's the concrete is seemingly being poured, and anyway, it's looking like this is going to be starting to make product fairly soon. So will it take until 2026 to actually start making meaningful volume? It looks like maybe not. I don't know.
I am with you entirely. What is meaningful volume? Well, I'm expecting that this year Tesla Semi will outsell all of Nikola's history. And, hey, they sold over 200 last year. It was a record. That is embarrassing. Oh, of all the good things, we'll look at this. I asked Grok, make me a picture of the Model Y if it was a compact hatchback. What we've got here is just a Model Y. That's just a Model Y. And these are all Fords. And I said, no, more like a compact hatchback Tesla Model 3. And it said, oh, okay, here's just a bunch of Model 3s and Ys. And I said, no, a picture of a smaller Tesla Model 3. Oh, just a regular Model 3? Because that's already smaller. Grok, you're driving me. Make it a subcompact car in size. Oh, okay, so even bigger? You want to see a Model S? No, make a Tesla Model 3. If it was a coupe, a 4-door coupe, you got it, buddy. Make a 2-door Model 3. 4 doors, you got it. So at that point I gave up and I was like, well, I'll just tell Randy that Grok failed me. And you can answer the question. We've heard rumor of this fabled vehicle. Is it going to happen? And if so, is it going to be big?
Well, absolutely going to happen. I mean, we've got, multiple, I think at least 4 different occasions where either Elon or senior executives have said it's going to happen in the first half. And it's going to be, according to Gary Black, it is the most important thing that Tesla's ever done. I'm sorry, Gary. I really like Gary. I'm sorry, Gary. It's too easy. You make it too easy, Gary. So
I've met Gary I met Gary probably 3 times, and every time he has no memory of the previous meeting. So it's unfortunate because I know some of the people he gets advice from, and he's getting bad advice, and it shows, Gary. It shows. You have to follow smarter people if you want to have not negative returns. How about that? Let's start there. Now,
So the
yes.
2.5, I'm with you. I'm looking for a hatchback along the lines of a Model Y, Model 3. There might be two vehicles. Some people are suggesting that, and I have no objection to that. I think it's at least a possibility that there would be a small SUV and separately a hatchback, which are, I guess, two different kinds of vehicles of which I've never had any interest in buying either. So I'm not even sure that's true. There's two different things. So, but anyway, either one of those apparently, based on information that I'm getting from who knows who, would both sell. Yeah.
Okay. And yesterday I was parked at the hardware store next to a very small 4-door SUV that I'm pretty sure was a Ford. And I pulled up nose to nose with it, and its back bumper was kind of in line with our rear seats. And I was like, that's the size.
Yeah.
That could do it if they could make it in a way that isn't hideous. Here's the big news. UBS, Tesla could collect over $1 billion from EU automakers due to pooling deal. So we're talking Volvo, Polestar, and Smart are reportedly planning on pooling their carbon credits with Mercedes, but Tesla, the CO2 pool for Tesla would include Stellantis, Toyota, Ford, Mazda, and Subaru. All those brands need to get some credits, and Tesla's got a lot to sell. Have you heard this?
Yes, I saw the headline. I haven't really read the articles because I got it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just don't read the articles because there's not going to be anything in there that's going to surprise me.
Yeah.
So this is good. I think there's every reason. I would say AJ and others are also saying that they think that the ZEV credits in the fourth quarter might come as a surprise, might be over $1 billion, and might continue to be at high numbers. Now then, there's been the tailwinds, headwinds. There's been the headwinds. I'll get it right. I promise.
You'll get it.
Some headwinds over the last couple of days of some analysts saying, "Oh, but the Trump administration might cut back on some of these requirements in terms of miles per gallon or miles per whatever, miles per gallon." Anyway, and if they do that, then some of these ZEV credit things would go away. And my answer to that is purely speculative. Nobody that I know of has even in the Republican Party in any place. I can't remember anybody having said anything about changing the mile per gallon requirements. I've seen some suggestions in terms of not requiring any, electric vehicle percentages by certain dates and whatnot, but I can't remember a change in the mile per gallon requirements at a federal level.
Okay. I don't follow it as closely as you. So if you haven't heard it, I definitely haven't heard it. That is, yeah, it's tricky. Even if US ZEV credits disappeared, which I don't see as a top priority, these are the international ones we're talking about. This is Europe,
Right.
and these credits exist in other markets as well.
California is the biggest.
Okay.
California, the fifth largest economy in the world, is one of the number one places where Tesla gets their credits.
Wow. Maybe
not.
Elon shouldn't wage war with the people that are literally putting dollars in his pocket. But I mean, hey, we all have choices we get to make.
That's right.
So one last, no, I've got maybe two, but we'll just start with this one. Almost hit the wrong button. Roland Pircher on X said, "This is how Tesla sales changed year over year in each country. The first one's in absolutes, but then there will be another one in percentages. Kind of hard to see on this screen, depending how big your screen is at home. This big jump over here, China, 8% versus the United States, down 5%. Oh, this is in units. Never mind the percentages. We're looking at units. China grew almost 50,000 units. The US shrunk like 25, 30,000 units, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all, some countries did well, some countries did not as well. Any of this worry you?
Well, again, we know that I mean, we could go around the world and talk about different markets. We know that the China market is very strong. We know that the German market in particular was very weak because of the changes in the kinds of offerings that the government was making. And most of the German cars are sold to companies who then in turn provide that as a benefit to their employees. And those credits and those offers from the German government went away. There's so many different little things here and there across the world that are impacting overall vehicle sales as well as BEV sales. It would be hard to really comment a lot on your slide. The number one thing I would say is that I talked about all of last year, probably even on your channel, Brian, is the pent up demand on the Y because of the Osborne effect. I just believe that the Osborne effect on Model Y last year was massive, and we'll find out. We'll find out in the next 90 days.
So I would counter saying not massive, but measurable. There are plenty of people you and I know who are holding off, have been holding off because they know that this refresh is imminent. And I would argue most buyers don't care, don't know better, aren't as concerned as us. But even if it's only 5 or 10%, that is a whole lot of vehicles when we're talking about a market this size. The second slide he's got here shows the same thing, but in percentages, which I think is less meaningful. Oh no, Iceland is down 80%.
But what about Greenland?
Greenland is, I don't think, on this list. It might be lumped in with Denmark's numbers. Malaysia up 200 plus percent, 220%. I assume that's a newish market or an underdeveloped market.
Yeah.
So these are not as useful, but Roland Pircher, a great follow. And I've gotten to meet him in person in Austria last year. That was, I was hanging out with him all weekend. And then he and someone asked who he was. He's like, oh, I'm Roland. I'm like, Roland what? He's like, we've been talking all weekend. How do you not know who you're talking? I'm like, I don't know, man. I met like 100 people. So again, it's one of those instances where it's just great that I'm just walk around not being a jerk all the time, because I would invariably end up being a jerk to somebody that I shouldn't be. But yeah, so anyway, that was worth sharing. Last little one, and this one you can speak to if you'd like, is China hits record $1 trillion trade surplus.
Yes. Well, this is going to be a matter of concern to both the United States and China. So, you've got somebody coming into office in a few days who definitely doesn't want China to be having this kind of a trade imbalance with the United States, wants things to be more on a level playing field. And so I'm sure this is going to be addressed. At the same time, I was thinking this morning when I saw this and contemplating what Trump wants to do with regard to China, with regard to tariffs, and with regard to making this imbalance go away or become reduced, this is a really bad time to be doing that to China, because, and I'm no great fan. I'm not in love with it, with the leadership in China, obviously, but they are already under significant stress. Their economy is under massive stress, with their bond rates going down to, I've like off a cliff, like down to 2% or something, 1.5%. They're already in so much trouble that imposing additional tariffs on them at this time, which might further reduce their economy, could be a disaster. Could be because you don't want to tweak the lion's paw. No, you don't want to beat the dog in the face. There's a metaphor. I just don't know what it is.
I mean, there's a lot of metaphors, Randy, but I have no earthly idea which one you're getting at. No, it is tricky. I don't know of a straightforward solution to it. The best way, of course, is to manufacture your way out of it. But that's not something the U.S. has been good at in recent years. And we've kind of given up a lot of our factory work, a lot of our manufacturing base. It is unfortunate. Guys, in the
Well,
comments, what are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
just one last thought on that. The combination, though, of 3D printing and robotics and AI may change that because the real problem has always been the labor cost combined a little bit with the expectations of profit are different in the United States than they are in China.
Mm.
So the amount of money that the owners and the stockholders need to make is different between the two countries. So there's real possibilities that with AI, with 3D printing, and with robotics, the playing field might be a lot more level, even without tariffs.
I can see that. I can see where if you want something simple, you could get it made locally anywhere in the world for maybe not cheaper than a mass produced item. Because, if once you make the mold, you can make something for a penny instead of making it bespoke for 10. But I think your point is very valid that a lot of business owners in China are willing to do business at 2-3% margins all day because I don't need 10, 20, 50% margins. And I'll tell you, I've tried to do business with a number of people who had an expectation of value on their service that was not commensurate with the value they provided. Yeah, ridiculous. I bumped into an old friend of mine when I was first learning Photoshop 15 years ago. And I said, "Hey, I go, what have you been up to?" He said, "Oh, I am doing freelance work and I do Photoshop for people and I do Photoshop tutorials." I'm like, "Hey man, I'd love to learn some Photoshop." He's like, "Great. My rate is $50 an hour." I'm like, "Leland, what are you doing, man? Do you think, first of all, I know ain't nobody paying you $50 an hour, and you think I got $50 an hour to pay you? Get out of here. Come on." But this was before YouTube could teach you anything at all. You
Yeah.
guys, what did we miss? What do we misunderstand? And what is your take on the China trade surplus? And bonus points, keep the nasty comments out because I have no patience for them. This is not a place for madness. This is a place for analysis. So I appreciate in advance you guys helping me out with that little bit of it. Everybody else, like, subscribe, do what you got to do. If you have a chance to subscribe, that would be tremendous. I'm trying to hit 100,000 this year. It would mean the world to me. And if I can't, there's always next year, but this is tough, man. It's tough. When you don't have the first mover advantage, you got to work way harder. So everybody else, like, subscribe, stay tuned and juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, whenever,